The gym fell silent the moment the news hit. Caitlin Clark, already a lightning rod of talent and controversy, had just secured a Nike deal so massive it threatened to eclipse every endorsement in WNBA history. Stephen A. Smith's voice had gone from disbelief to outright fury on live air, and fans across the globe were watching the drama unfold like a high-stakes thriller. The shockwaves weren't just on social media. They reverberated through locker rooms, boardrooms, and even living rooms where fans were glued to their screens, mouths agape, hearts racing. How could one deal redefine the balance of power in women's basketball? How could it make Clark untouchable in ways even seasoned veterans hadn't imagined? Jealousy, outrage, and admiration collided simultaneously. Angel Reese's eyes narrowed as she scrolled through the announcement. Paige Bucher's phone buzzed nonstop with messages of disbelief. Coaches whispered warnings in hushed tones, calculating how this sudden financial firestorm might disrupt team dynamics. Every follower, fan, and critic had an opinion, and they weren't holding back. Twitter exploded with hashtags, TikTok clips, and memes that made Caitlin both a hero and a villain overnight. But behind the celebratory headlines and viral clips, tension brewed. The locker room wasn't ready, the league wasn't ready, and Stephen A. Smith wasn't ready. Every camera, every microphone, every social platform turned into a magnifying glass, dissecting every nuance, every reaction, every hidden motive. And as the sun set on the first day of this seismic revelation, one thing was crystal clear. The WNBA would never, ever be the same again. The world knew Caitlin Clark as a force of nature on the court, a player whose precision, vision, and relentless drive had already rewritten record books before many of her peers had fully arrived in the league. But behind the headlines, behind the viral highlights, and behind the record-breaking stats, lay a story layered with pressure, sacrifice, and moments that would have broken lesser athletes. From her earliest days in Iowa, she had been drilled not only in fundamentals but in resilience, the kind of resilience that demands everything, gives nothing in return, and refuses to acknowledge fatigue. Her parents, while supportive, had instilled a sense of relentless perfection. Every shot mattered, every decision had weight, every failure was merely a lesson that should never repeat. By the time she reached college, the public had already started noticing the extraordinary blend of skill and determination that seemed to define her very being. Coaches marveled at her court IQ, analysts debated her efficiency, and fans were captivated by a combination of humility and quiet intensity. Yet even with fame came isolation. Every game she played, every accolade she earned, came with whispers in the locker room and in online forums. Fellow players admired her talent, but some envied it. That envy could twist into tension, subtle at first. A cold shoulder in practice, a dismissive remark after a scrimmage, or the quiet acknowledgement that she was the standard others felt they could never reach. Caitlin learned early that the higher she climbed, the heavier the gaze became. Her teammates' private insecurities became public speculation, and every social media post could ignite a frenzy of praise or criticism. Even mundane statements were dissected for intent, tone, or hidden meaning. Nike's interest had been building for months, but the scale of the deal caught everyone off guard. The contract was massive, beyond anything the league had seen for a female athlete in her position, a sum that would have drawn envy from seasoned veterans and commentary from every analyst from New York to Los Angeles. Yet while the world celebrated, Caitlin's internal world was a storm. Anxiety, self-doubt, and guilt clashed with excitement. She had achieved a dream, but the dream had consequences. Social media erupted with reactions ranging from jubilation to resentment. Fans debated endlessly. Was she the future of the WNBA? Was this fair to other stars like Angel Reese or Paige Buchers? What did this mean for team dynamics, endorsements, and league politics? Caitlin's phone became a battlefield. Messages, alerts, tweets, and DMs cascading like a waterfall of expectation and judgment. In practice, tension flared. Coaches whispered caution. Teammates watched every move with a mix of admiration and wariness. Caitlin had to navigate not just the game, but the invisible minefield of envy, media pressure, and corporate interest. Every shot she took, every assist she made, became symbolic, not just of her skill, but of her place in an evolving, politically charged environment. And behind the closed doors of board meetings and locker rooms, executives began to weigh how this deal would reshape power structures, player influence, and fan engagement. Caitlin's rise was meteoric, but meteors burn bright and fast, leaving trails of light and shadow, and the fallout would not be gentle. Her emotional history was not just a biography, it was a blueprint of survival. Late nights filled with training, personal sacrifices, and social scrutiny had forged a mental toughness few could comprehend. She had learned to anticipate envy, to decode whispers, and to convert pressure into performance. But this Nike deal was different. It was not just another milestone. It was a catalyst that would test relationships, alliances, and the very structure of the league. As she stared at the contract, reading the staggering numbers, she understood. The world was watching, her rivals were scheming, and her every move would now carry consequences far beyond the hardwood. And then came the first ripple of chaos, a text from a source unnamed but unmistakably close. "They're already planning how to use this against you. Brace yourself." Caitlin's pulse quickened. The story was no longer hers alone. It was a storm gathering in real time, threatening to engulf friends, rivals, and the league itself. With each heartbeat, each flash of camera, each tweet, one thing was undeniable. The stage was set, the drama had begun, and nothing in Caitlin's journey had prepared her for what came next. The tension in the WNBA reached a fever pitch the moment the Nike deal became public. Caitlin Clark, already a household name, had ascended to a new, untouchable level. But with unprecedented fame came unprecedented scrutiny. Social media exploded within minutes. Clips of her highlights, reaction videos, fan debates, and scathing commentary flooded every platform. Some called it a triumph for women's sports, others accused the league of favoritism, and a growing number whispered about the inevitable fallout in locker rooms across the nation. Angel Reese's DMs were already buzzing with supporters and skeptics alike. Paige Bucher's circle was bracing for tension, and whispers in Team USA practices hinted at divisions previously hidden under smiles and polite nods. The first spark ignited during a routine Team USA scrimmage. Caitlin, glowing with confidence yet visibly on edge, executed a perfect crossover that left defenders frozen. But Angel Reese, frustrated and bristling, snapped at a teammate for not anticipating Caitlin's dominance. Voices escalated, shouts echoed, and suddenly the practice turned into a cauldron of emotion. Coaches intervened, but not before Caitlin's gaze met Angel's, a silent acknowledgement that this rivalry had escalated beyond healthy competition. The locker room afterward was electric with tension. Teammates whispered, phones were raised surreptitiously, and snippets of argument began leaking to social media. Then came the shocking twist. A video surfaced showing Caitlin, during a closed-door promotional shoot, making a comment that was misinterpreted as dismissive toward a fellow player. The clip, only 12 seconds long, was edited and shared on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram, instantly going viral. Fans erupted with outrage. Analysts debated motives, integrity, and the power dynamics at play. Sponsors started sending cryptic statements, and league executives held emergency meetings. Caitlin's phone didn't stop buzzing. Messages of support, threats, and unsolicited advice flooded in. Some teammates expressed loyalty, others suspicion, and suddenly the WNBA, already tense from the high-stakes season, was teetering on chaos. Everywhere she went, Caitlin felt the weight. Cameras, fans, and the media scrutinized every move. Coaches whispered privately about handling internal discord. Marketing teams debated how to manage the viral storm, and players felt torn between admiration, envy, and fear of being overshadowed. Rivalries that had simmered for years ignited into open conflict. Paige Buchers confronted Caitlin privately, words sharp, a barely contained storm of jealousy and professional pride. Angel Reese's frustration boiled into public commentary that hinted at deeper rifts, while social media amplified every slight, real or imagined. As the league tried to regain control, Caitlin was thrust into the center of a maelstrom. Every endorsement, every interview, and every play became a political and emotional minefield. Her own mental state, once carefully guarded, was now under siege. She felt trapped between her ambition, loyalty to teammates, and the public's insatiable appetite for scandal. Friends and family offered advice, but the pressure was uniquely her own. Questions of fairness, equality, and envy loomed over her like storm clouds ready to burst. By the third day of viral chaos, the first major shockwave struck. A leaked internal memo from the WNBA revealed executives were debating whether Caitlin's new visibility could destabilize team chemistry league-wide. Allegations of favoritism, jealousy, and locker room sabotage circulated. Analysts speculated about trade rumors, and fans took sides in an unprecedented online frenzy. Caitlin, meanwhile, was forced to confront an unsettling reality. Success had become a double-edged sword, and every moment of brilliance carried the potential for public backlash, internal betrayal, and personal devastation. As night fell, Caitlin sat alone, scrolling through messages that alternated between praise and condemnation. She realized the first shock was only the beginning. A storm of rivalries, jealousy, league politics, and social media hysteria was converging, and the full force of its chaos had yet to hit. The WNBA, fans, and even her closest allies would soon witness an escalation none could have predicted, and Caitlin Clark was right at the eye of it. The firestorm didn't die, it intensified. As the WNBA world processed the viral clip and Caitlin Clark's meteoric rise with the Nike deal, the undercurrents of tension turned into an unstoppable current. Locker rooms, once havens for strategy and camaraderie, had become pressure cookers. Angel Reese, Paige Buchers, and other top-tier players began whispering in corners, their conversations sharp, layered with unspoken accusations and envy. Coaches noticed the subtle stares, the microaggressions during drills, the deliberate delays in passing. Even the veteran stars, who prided themselves on professionalism, were visibly shaken. The league, unprepared for this level of internal conflict, scrambled to mediate, but every meeting seemed only to inflame the tension. Then came the second major twist. A full-length video, leaked by an anonymous source inside the Nike promotional team, revealed Caitlin jokingly mocking a rival player's shot technique during a private, off-the-court gathering. Though the clip was taken out of context, the editing made it explosive, and social media erupted in a frenzy. Fans were divided. Some defended her humor, others labeled it arrogant, claiming it showed a lack of respect for fellow WNBA athletes. Analysts debated endlessly on live television, podcasts, and Twitter Spaces. The phrase locker room betrayal trended within hours. Headlines screamed. Rival teams released statements praising sportsmanship indirectly while criticizing behavior, not befitting a role model. And Nike's PR team was forced to issue a careful, tightly worded response. Back in the gym, chaos spilled over. Practices turned into arenas of passive-aggressive confrontations. Angel Reese challenged Caitlin openly during scrimmages, their heated words barely held back by referees and coaches. Paige Buchers, once reserved, finally confronted Caitlin mid-practice, the tension so raw that other teammates instinctively backed away. Phones discreetly recorded arguments, creating new viral moments before management could intervene. The psychological warfare wasn't limited to the court. Private chats leaked, cryptic Instagram stories fueled speculation, and fans dissected every gesture for hidden meaning. The personal stakes became life-altering. Caitlin's family received threats disguised as concerned fan messages. Sponsors called repeatedly, some questioning whether the controversy would affect brand alignment. Social media influencers fanned the flames, turning a private joke into a full-blown narrative about division, envy, and who really controls the WNBA. Caitlin's mental and emotional stability hung by a thread. Sleepless nights, frantic text messages, and a relentless media barrage pushed her to the brink. Even Team USA meetings were no refuge. Coaches attempted damage control, but whispers about internal divisions were now impossible to contain. Players who once trained side by side were now questioning alliances. Analysts speculated that a mutiny within the team was brewing, anger, jealousy, and fear coalescing into a storm. Caitlin's position as both a superstar and a lightning rod for scandal had placed her at the intersection of rivalry, league politics, and public scrutiny. As the day ended, the culmination of envy, ambition, and media frenzy gave birth to a scene that would define the season. During a nationally televised practice, Caitlin attempted a fast break play, only to be blocked aggressively by a rival teammate. A shoving match almost broke out, cameras rolling, fans screaming online. Every movement was scrutinized, dissected, and replayed ad nauseum. Caitlin, breathing hard, realized the escalation had become uncontainable. The league, her teammates, and the public were now fully invested in the drama, and the consequences would ripple far beyond the court. The second major twist had done more than intensify tension. It had transformed the WNBA into a battlefield of rivalry, envy, and psychological warfare. Caitlin Clark's every step was now both a statement and a provocation, and no one, not even the league itself, could predict how the next days would unfold. The stage was set for unprecedented conflict, and the drama was only beginning. The public reaction was instantaneous and merciless. Social media exploded into a kaleidoscope of outrage, awe, and disbelief. Fans who once cheered Caitlin Clark now debated furiously whether her behavior was competitive spirit or arrogance run wild. Hashtags trended in minutes. Hashtag Caitlin Clark controversy, hashtag WNBA drama, hashtag locker room chaos, hashtag Angel vs. Caitlin. Clips of practice altercations, the leaked Nike footage, and private messages taken out of context spread like wildfire. Comment sections turned into battlegrounds, with supporters and detractors hurling accusations, defending ethics, or vilifying perceived betrayals. Influencers capitalized, dissecting every expression, every line, every movement, while conspiracy theories about collusion, favoritism, and sabotage circulated unchecked. The emotional toll on the players was brutal. Angel Reese, Paige Buchers, and others faced a double-edged sword. The public scrutinized their reactions to Caitlin, and their own teams were rife with whispers. Text messages leaked, locker room conversations recorded, private videos posted. The personal had become public, and there was nowhere to hide. Angel's frustration was painted as personal vendetta. Paige's concern for team cohesion was labeled jealousy. Even coaches struggled, their authority questioned as analysts speculated that internal divisions could cost the WNBA its credibility and season momentum. Fans weren't the only ones reacting. Sponsors sent urgent queries. Nike's PR department crafted careful statements, balancing praise for Caitlin's achievements with concern over team harmony. League executives convened emergency sessions behind closed doors. Kathy Engelbert faced pressure from owners, players, and media alike. The leaked footage, combined with real-time fan outrage, created a scenario of unprecedented scrutiny. Analysts on ESPN, TNT, and social media panels debated ethics, team dynamics, and power structures, framing Caitlin as both hero and villain simultaneously. The emotional fallout hit Caitlin hardest. She watched as the world dissected her every word and action. Friends called to reassure, but each message reminded her of the growing storm. Threats disguised as fan mail arrived. Commentary on her mental health circulated. Fans questioned her loyalty, her sportsmanship, even her character. Every game, every interview, every endorsement became a high-stakes negotiation of perception versus reality. Meanwhile, Angel Reese, Paige Buchers, and other teammates grappled with the pressure of public expectation. Every glance, every pass, every reaction was scrutinized. Rumors spread, internal factions forming, alliances cracking. Even minor disagreements were magnified, shared, and replayed online. Social media had become a relentless jury. Every moment a potential headline, every gesture a potential scandal. The WNBA itself teetered on the edge. League meetings attempted to enforce unity, but whispers of discord permeated the arenas. Ticket sales and viewer engagement spiked, not from the sport, but from the controversy. Analysts suggested that Caitlin's meteoric rise had unintentionally destabilized the league's carefully curated balance, turning teammates into rivals and fans into judge and jury. By the end of the week, the emotional fallout had reached unprecedented levels. Caitlin's confidence wavered, her teammates were divided, and the public's obsession had created a pressure cooker. Every call, every text, every media clip seemed to fan the flames. The WNBA world was no longer about games, scores, or championships. It was about personalities, rivalries, and scandal. Caitlin Clark, once the league's shining star, now carried the weight of a league teetering between admiration and chaos. And as the night fell, one leaked message hinted at an even bigger revelation, promising that the storm was far from over. The WNBA, and Caitlin herself, stood on the precipice of the next unimaginable twist. The arena was quiet, almost eerily so, as Caitlin Clark stepped onto the court, the weight of the week's scandals pressing down on her like a physical force. Cameras flashed, but not for her plays. They were capturing the tension, the silence, the unspoken stares from teammates whose trust had been fractured. Angel Reese, Paige Buchers, and other key players lingered nearby, their eyes darting, calculating, measuring the emotional battlefield. The leaked messages, social media storms, and public outrage had pushed every athlete to the edge. Caitlin knew that one misstep, one misread glance, could ignite another conflagration. Then it happened. Mid-practice, a whistle shrieked as Angel Reese intercepted Caitlin on a fast break with an intensity that bordered on personal vendetta. What followed was no ordinary block. It was aggressive, bordering on confrontational, as if Angel had built up every ounce of public and private resentment into that single moment. Caitlyn stumbled but regained her balance, eyes locking with Angel's in a silent clash of wills. The tension was palpable. Even the coaches froze. A recording phone on the sidelines caught the moment, instantly destined for social media virality. As the day progressed, the psychological warfare escalated. Teammates whispered behind hands, players plotted subtle forms of sabotage, and analysts speculated endlessly. Was a mutiny forming? Would the league step in? Caitlyn tried to maintain composure, but the constant barrage of public scrutiny, internal conflict, and media manipulation was crushing. Sponsors called with veiled threats, fans dissected every expression, and former WNBA stars weighed in with fiery opinions, questioning loyalty, sportsmanship, and the future of the league itself. By evening, the situation had metastasized. Private chats leaked, cryptic posts hinted at alliances forming against Caitlyn, and hashtags like #LockerRoomWar and #Caitlyn versus the world trended globally. Her personal life, once private, was now public property. Every dinner, every workout, every glance analyzed, criticized, and weaponized. Social media trolls and supposed fans joined forces with legitimate analysts to create an endless loop of outrage, ensuring that Caitlyn could not escape scrutiny even for a moment. Then came the final, shocking revelation. A high-ranking WNBA official, previously thought neutral, was caught on tape suggesting that Caitlyn's dominance, and the chaos it caused, might be manipulated to shift fan attention, ticket sales, and broadcast ratings. The implication was explosive. The league itself, a supposedly impartial arbiter, could be complicit in amplifying internal strife for profit. Headlines screamed, and the WNBA's credibility teetered. Caitlyn, standing amidst her teammates, realized the depth of betrayal, manipulation, and public scrutiny she was trapped within. The night ended with Caitlyn alone in the locker room, scrolling through endless feeds, feeling the pressure mount, the whispers of betrayal surrounding her like a storm. The next play, the next practice, the next leak could change everything: her career, her reputation, and the league itself. And in the shadows, a new figure emerged, promising to expose even more secrets. Caitlyn Clark had survived public scrutiny, rivalries, and personal attacks. But the final, ultimate twist had just begun, and nothing would ever be the same. The storm surrounding Caitlyn Clark had reached a fever pitch, but the story was far from over. Fans, exhausted from endless debates, still couldn't look away. The tension had shifted from admiration of athletic prowess to a global spectacle of scandal, betrayal, and intrigue. Every social media platform was ablaze. TikTok clips dissected Caitlyn's body language, Instagram stories speculated on team loyalties, and Twitter threads spanned hundreds of pages, debating whether she would survive the political minefield she now faced. The league's own PR team scrambled to contain the damage, drafting statements that balanced praise for Caitlyn's historic achievements with vague reassurances about team cohesion and sportsmanship. But it was too late. The narrative had taken on a life of its own, spinning faster than anyone could control. Sponsors began to hesitate, some pulling back campaigns while others quietly renegotiated contracts, wary of public backlash. Analysts and former players debated endlessly on air, framing Caitlyn simultaneously as a pioneer, a villain, and a pawn in a much larger, invisible game. Every headline, every clip, every comment fueled the frenzy, turning a single player's rise into a full-blown league-wide crisis. Meanwhile, Angel Reese, Paige Buchers, and other teammates struggled to maintain their own public images while navigating the fractured trust within the locker room. Small disagreements escalated into whispers of revolt, alliances formed, and the fragile balance of Team USA threatened to collapse entirely. This was no longer about basketball alone. It was about power, influence, and survival. Fans were called to witness the fallout, to take sides, to become part of the conversation. Share your thoughts, debate the ethics, dissect every move. Your engagement fuels the narrative, and your voice shapes the next chapter of this unprecedented scandal. Every retweet, every comment, every like could amplify the next revelation. Stay tuned, stay vigilant, and don't blink, because in the WNBA, nothing is ever as it seems. Caitlyn Clark's story is still unfolding, and the next twist could change everything. The league, the fans, and the world are watching. What will you do as history writes itself before your eyes?